All right, welcome again for the benefit of the video. Thanks for coming out. I know the marathon is today, so actually I'm kind of surprised how many people we have here. Thank you for coming out, and hopefully what we have today is valuable for you. I passed out some flyers that talk about the summer activities. If you didn't get one, just let me know. I'll get one to you. And we'll go over those in a little more detail. First, Kent Gardner has got to leave, and just for your information, next year is the 150th anniversary of the Golden Spike in 1869, and so Kent has found out some information about what's going on next year, and we'll give him a few minutes to talk about that.
I had the last shift from 3 to 5 on the 10th, and as we were packing up to leave, the ranger, Justin Glasgow, he's chief of interpretation of the Golden Spike Historical Site. That's the guy. He came up and said, "Thank you for your setting this up and helping us support the Golden Spike commemoration." And we got to talking, and I asked him, well, let me explain that over the years since we started to go back to Golden Spike, we've been there years ago, but we've been there for a number of years now, and it seemed like we had a harder and harder time to man the station. We used to do it for 3 days, and now we're 2 days and so on, because it's in the middle of the week and most of you guys work. And so we're wondering if what the status of our club in supporting them would be. But with being the 150th year, they're going to really bump up the thing, and then Representative Bishop says they may make it a state park. I mean a federal, national park.
National monument.
National monument. Oh, and that reminds me, we owe Steve a couple of Golden Spike hip hip hoorays for his yeoman service in putting this together. He stayed off work 2 days to do this. So let's give him 3 hip hip hoorays. Dave. Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! They did that in the commemoration. So he said that instead of hundreds coming, there will probably be thousands in coming. And where our antenna is, it's off to the east, and we run 100 some odd feet of coax to get to where we have the station under the gazebo entrance to there, or the gazebo area. And he says that's probably going to be chairs and what do they call it? Bleachers, maybe out there and clear on the other side, and maybe they'll go both sides. We're going to have parking problems. He says the building itself, the museum itself, may be the bathrooms, may be the instead of having the portable johns, they're going to have that as the main bathroom. But there's going to be other buildings built. They're going all out. And I sent you in the email the guy in Salt Lake in charge of the Utah the Utah project person, that we probably need, or he suggested that we probably need to coordinate with him, or at least let him know what we would like to do, because the way he explained it, there's going to be an area where there's going to be easy ups and people selling things, maybe food, maybe train whistles, maybe showing a display of old railroad memorabilia, that sort of thing. So we may end up in a place like that. Which brings up the point that we may need to come up with a vertical instead, if we're gonna be in the midst of a whole bunch of people, we may need a vertical, unless we get to the outside somewhere, maybe on the other side of the museum, to the south maybe, or the west, instead of having to run cable through and under people's booths, we might need a vertical. So they haven't met yet. The committee that plans this are going to do a layout and put all their new changes and everything together. So again, it may be thousands instead of hundreds, and so maybe as a board we can decide just to go ahead and send him an email, maybe with a picture of our antenna and our operating site, and let them know what we would like to do. Now, I don't know whether if the Thiokol Club wants to participate too. They put up another booth. They haven't in the past, but maybe they will next year. And or maybe we may want to join together with the Thiokol Club. So there's a lot of things that we need to consider, and when we find out what their plan is, then we know whether we need a vertical or whether we can still use the antenna, but maybe it'll be outside bounds, out of bounds on the other side, whatever. So,
are you keeping in contact with them then?
Well, the club officers will, I mean,
yeah,
Ken's part of the board as well, but yeah, we'll keep in contact.
Yeah, so I haven't yet put up a draft, but you can send whatever you want. But contact that guy with his email address at least. But we could send a picture of our antenna and our operating site so they know what we have. Maybe a statement saying that we're 100 feet away and we need these facilities, electricity, shade. Well, it may be easy up if we go out beyond.
We know how to operate without electricity as well. I mean, we can operate any which way they give us space to operate in.
Yeah, one of our field day stations, we just operated off battery entire
I'm
time.
thinking we can be as accommodating as they need us to be because of that. The hard part will be the antenna, whether we need to go with the vertical or we need some space to put up the G5R.
We're on the periphery or something, but we may get more traffic through our station and more people stopping if they're within an area where you get food and memorabilia and that sort of thing.
But this, like as you said, this is going to be a big event because currently it's a National Historic Site, which is the smallest of all the National Historic whatevers, right? Now they want to make it a historic monument, which is, bigger. So they're going to, they're pushing for that. They're going to make a big deal out of it. It's the 150th thing. We've got the governor's on board, the lieutenant governor's on board. I mean, he was there. They had, I don't know how many other people there, the elected officials and things there that I was approached by one of them. They said, "So you're a radio station?" And I said, "Well, kind of." I said, we're a different radio station than what you might be thinking. And she said, "Well, are you guys going to want to interview any of our stations here?" And I said, "No, we're not that kind of radio station." So, they were making a big deal about it this year as a precursor to the coming year. So they brought in a big display and everything else of what some of their ideas and everything. So, if you weren't involved this year and you haven't done it in the past, next year is going to be the year to get involved. And we'll have to work with that committee and find out how many days that they're planning on doing this. We'll have to try and figure out how to staff it. But if I remember right, the 10th next year is on a Sunday, right?
Friday.
Or is it a Friday?
It might be a Friday.
I don't remember what day it is. But so it might be a little bit easier time for us to, especially if they're going to put it in the weekend or whatever. We might have fewer people on a Thursday, Friday, more people on Saturday. But we'll work with them. We'll let you guys know what's going on because this is going to be a big, big event for Utah. as they improve what they're doing out there and making it into more of a thing for people to go out.
Now, they may even do it several days. I
That was
know,
my understanding is it was going to be a several day long thing, but I don't know how long.
I know in past years, they brought the school students out in buses on the day before. And we've been there the day before, and we've got some good traffic
So
from
we
that.
may want to be longer,
Yeah.
or we may not be able to take down the night that it ends.
I don't know.
There's a whole bunch of people.
And before, we'd gone up the day before. And thanks for helping us out, you two, James and Barbara, for helping us out helping set up the antenna, and Dave, and who else was there to help us set up? So, one last thing. This is from Bill DeLong. He says no call way back when, but he's got a general now, and he's still come out to Wednesday breakfast. He's a longtime member, and I'm the club historian and a librarian, and Bill gave this to
Hey.
yeah, I don't know. Here's a May 1981 club newsletter, and I don't have anything close to this. I've got almost everything through the 90s, but if any of you can find out what's news, any of these copies, give me a copy and I'll put it in the club history.
You said did you mean through the 90s or from the 90s?
Or from the 90s. Well, I don't know. I've got a lot in the 90s. So, this is great. It has a list of the members, and they give away antennas. And, here's a for sale sign, Heathkit HW2036, synthesized 2-meter mobile radio, 1 year old, low miles. Ground wave and whatever. So these are great. I may try to put something in the newsletter, maybe.
Hey kid, I have that online now,
Oh,
under the newsletter archive.
this? Oh, you've already seen it then. Okay, well that's good.
I scanned it in and transferred it.
Okay. All right, I've got to leave. Laura Lee, can you grab that and run? But sorry, I'm going to miss the rest of it.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay.
All right. Part of today's activities is kind of a slideshow that Val's prepared. Thinking maybe we can go with that next. There's going to be a lot going on today, but maybe we can go ahead and do that next, if you're okay with that. Okay. So lights. So this is a slideshow of, well, sorry, go ahead. You know what's in it.
This slideshow is from the participants from this year's Golden Spike. I want to thank everybody that took their camera and that said that just timely so that we have it for today. And following that, I have a shorter one from last year's field day that helped get us prepared and thinking about next month.
They had nothing to go on but some pictures, and they had the schematics or something for one train. And so they handed that off to a company who then, what was it, back in the 70s, built these two trains based on those pictures and what they knew about the old trains and one set of schematics. And so they're exactly identical to what was there at the time, even though those original trains were sold off for scrap years and years and years before. So the Jupiter is wood-fired, and it's authentic to everything. It smells like a campfire driving down the track. And then you've got the coal-fired, the 119, which smells like, I don't know, something else. It smells like burning. If you've ever smelled burning coal, it smells just like it. But anyway, they get them out there, and they drive them back and forth, and they bring them onto the side track and everything else to give everybody a good look at them. They blow the whistles a lot. They tell you all about the whistles and the operation of the trains, what the whistles mean, where they do them, all that stuff. And they give you the whole spiel. And after having been there for the past 4 years or 5 years, you get to know a lot about these trains and stuff. And you learn something new every year, though. They told me something this year I didn't know. But then when they got the trains built and everything, they said, well, these are really bland looking. They're just terrible. Well, I guess they had Walt Disney there, and he said he could fix the problem. And so he sent up some of his cartoon animators, and they're the ones that painted the trains. That's why they're painted the way that they are. So, it was all a great big thing to go from nothing to what they have now. And they had to restore all of that track out there because back in the 1940s they had to take all of the steel, since it wasn't being used anymore, all of that steel out of there to use for the war effort. So they had, when they decided to make it a historic monument or a historic site, they had to restore the track, build trains and get them up there, the whole 9 yards. So everything that you see up there is all restoration or recreation, I should say.
There's another interesting fact too, is after all the dignitaries got there and everything, originally, they realized that no one had brought a flag. And so there happened to be somebody there that had a flag from, what was it? Anyway, it had 20 stars on it. And so they put the flag up and it's got 20 stars. So if you're there and anybody asks you, well, how many states were in the Union when they actually drove this spike? The answer is not 20. But that's the gentleman that was there happened to have a family heirloom, and he donated the flag for them to use at the original founding of the state. What was there, 37 states at that time?
Something like that. There was quite a few more than 20, but
yeah.
He had an old heirloom flag. They also,
right.
As someone mentioned, the executives and the politicians had a hard time hitting that spike.
Yes.
And they didn't actually drive the golden spike or the other spikes into that platform. They just sort of tapped them. And then when they were done tapping it, then they pulled that one out and they put a real spike in there, and they were able to drive the real spikes in. But the original authentic golden spike still exists. What was the guy's name? Stanford? Yeah. He received it, and then he donated it to Stanford University. So they have it out there at Stanford University. So it still exists, it's still around, it's still the original one, but they have, there was two gold one, well there was a gold one, a gold plated one, and then there was a silver one. And so all of those still exist, they're around somewhere, but it's a really neat event if you go up there and you spend the time there. The 10th is the actual event that they do the whole thing. As you saw, the recreation of everything, and they even take the picture. They have people, get out there and they take, recreations of that famous picture and all that stuff. So they have a lot of fun.
The old fashioned camera,
They had one there. Yeah,
they do the old fashioned. They make it look like.
Yeah, they have one of the, we watched the two people carry the old box camera, with the cloth that you put over your head, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, it's really, really cool. It's a lot of fun to go up there and participate in that because it's, you know, there's not a whole lot of historic things that happen here in Utah. There's a few, but this was one of the big ones. This is what they say, that event united the country. It wasn't that the Civil War united the country or anything else. They tell you about that. It was that event, because then you were able to get people, instead of taking 4 months to go from New York to San Francisco, either on a boat or across the land via horse and buggy or whatever, it took 2 weeks. So you went from being 4 months in a travel to a 2-week travel. And so people were able to go from New York to San Francisco and back in a month. And so they could go visit family, they could go visit friends, they could go start businesses, they could do all. It united the country like nothing else.
Well, how far was it for them to go from Omaha to San Francisco? How long did that take?
From Omaha, I have no idea.
That's New York, that's all the other railroads up there on the side of Mississippi. No?
About the same time frame that the stagecoaches came online prior to this. They were doing it for 2 weeks. Oh, I just happened to know.
I know one.
62.
Okay, 62 contacts this year.
And that's, yeah, we had a lot of fun with the contacts. The band was pretty bad. And right at the first of the morning, we made 1 or 2 contacts. I was one of those 2 contacts out in the parking lot. But we were testing the radio because we couldn't figure out if it was getting out. It didn't seem like we were getting out. So we tested that. It seemed to be okay. We then, about 11 o'clock, the band opened up. And from about 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock, it was pretty good. We did quite a bit of contacting. And then at 3 o'clock, it died. It was gone. There was nothing from 3 to 5. And we tried. We made a lot of our contacts on 40 meters, you know, in the middle of the day. So it was a better band than 20 meter was for a lot of it. The second day, we were able to get a couple more contacts. We got into it a little bit. And then it was off and on and off and on and off and on all day long. And so we switched back and forth between 20 and 40 and 20 and 40. And there were times where the band would be really good. We'd be making contacts. And we called out after a net, and we thought we'd catch some people lingering after the net. Well, someone came back, and he was kind of soft and faint in the background, and he said, "I think I heard something about Promontory, Utah." And he was gone. That was the end of that contact. The band was just gone. It came and it went. And then the second day, on Thursday, we actually made a few more contacts a little bit later than 3 o'clock. So you never really can tell. It's always an adventure to go out there and try to make these contacts. And I'm surprised we made as many as we did, because there were big sections of time, 2 hours, where, you know, an hour here, an hour there, where there was just no contact. And we tried, and there was just nothing. And then the band would come back on, and it would be clear as a bell, and we'd be talking with people, and then it would just go away, and it just faded out, and we'd be going back and forth between 20 and 40 trying to make some contact. So it was a really big adventure. It was a lot of fun. We had the second day, we had those kids. If you remember those kids, they were terrible kids. They came over and they wouldn't stop playing with the CW equipment. It's like, you know, I wanted to turn around and tell the parents, "Look, could you do something about these kids?" But they weren't hurting anything. They were just excited about the stuff. So, you know, you do meet people. We talked with a lot of kids about stuff. We talked with a lot of adults about it. And I don't know if we piqued their interest, but we also talked with people that haven't been licensed in forever, but they used to be licensed. And, you know, right? Maybe they're interested in getting licensed again. I don't know, but, you know, I think it's a good thing to be there. It's a lot of fun to be there. And you really get to get into the operating of things, because not everything works out the way you plan it. When we were hooked up to my truck, we were hooked up to power, we were hooked up to the battery, we hooked up all kinds of stuff all day. So
When you were out there, I noticed in my area down in St. George there, a lot of people have those LED lights, and they just mess up the high frequency bands so you can't use it. Do you get any noise or anything out there that is objectionable?
there's a little QRM here and there, but really the only thing they have there is that building. And they've got fluorescent lights and stuff, but we're outside, and there's pretty good shielding between us and it. So there's very little of any kind of interference from that. We listened to some lightning strikes while we were there. You could hear those pretty good wherever they were happening. But yeah, there's really very little up there. It's quite a nice operating location.
Was there a given area that we got most of our contacts from, or?
We hit a lot of West Coast contacts, California, Oregon, Washington, and then we hit some Nebraska, Oklahoma, Georgia. We hit a few. I think we got one in New York. And there would be times where we were hitting one coast, to the West Coast, and then it would switch. We'd be hitting inland into the central U.S., and then it would switch again, and we'd be back over on the West Coast. It was kind of really weird how the band was acting.
There was one in North Carolina we got.
We did have one in North Carolina. I think we had a Florida one. We had a few.
Some in Florida.
Canadian.
Yeah, we
We're
did.
gonna have
We got
that.
Canadian, that's right.
That's just,
Jerry?
we're gonna have a lot of fun.
You know, we talk about field day and this Golden Spike as an opportunity for technicians to try HF, but Leon here sat down for a few minutes and he got 2 contacts to California, and then his wife Serena, who's not even licensed, hit Florida.
Sure.
And so it was a good experience from that standpoint to get people to try out HF who maybe, I'm sure your wife had never even thought about sitting down, and when I asked her if she wanted to, she said, well, I don't know what to do, what to say. I said, we'll help you, just sit down. And it was good.
The last field day down in St. George there, they had the daughter of one of the members come up. She isn't licensed. But once she got on there, it's a pilot. They all wanted
Yep.
to talk to her.
Yeah. Yep, that happens. All right. Well, hopefully that's kindled some excitement for you for next year's Golden Spike event. I think we need to move on to some other summer activities. Before I forget, Rick, you want to tell us about the VE test session, or you want me to?
Just go ahead.
Okay. So VE test session, it'll be the 6th of June, so that's in like a week and a half or something, or maybe 2 weeks. Anyway, 6th of June, 6 p.m. at the Sheriff's Office. If you are a volunteer examiner, please come help out. If you'd like to upgrade your license, we give tests for all license classes there, so feel free to come upgrade your license. If you know someone who wants to become a ham radio operator, that's a good opportunity to come take the test. So,
And from what time to what time?
it starts at 6 p.m. till whenever we end, and that's on June 6th. So 6/6 at 6 p.m.
Where is the sheriff's office exactly?
It's just south of 12th Street. There's a big set of railroad tracks on the west side of Wall Avenue. Well, it's quite a ways away from Wall Avenue, but
It's right across from the BDO entrance. On
yeah,
the
that's a better way to put it.
Drive.
Yep. BDO, the Business Depot Ogden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it used to be the DDO.
Yeah, they thought they were being clever by using BDO instead of BDO, but whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, there's a big intersection there with a light, and you just go south at that intersection, and the sheriff's office is just a little ways down the road.
Where do you go in at? Where do you go in at?
From 12th Street.
No, I mean,
Oh,
You go right in the front, just go all the way to the back on the
If you end up with your car, you've gone too far.
yeah, yeah. The public entrance to the sheriff's office is on the north side of the building.
There to the left.
And yeah, you'll go in. There's a big lobby area. You just go to the left.
There'll be a sign there. Or usually takes care of that.
Yeah. So
Suggestion?
yeah,
We do have a short link to
right. Yep, I was going to get to that in a minute. So let's continue on to field day. So we've got another little short slideshow for field day. Go ahead, Val.
And the antennas, we have usually the G5RB and some kind of, what's that loop one that we have there?
Yep, we've got an 80-meter loop.
So we've got a couple of different antennas that we put up, and we usually have one of the stations set up for some CW and the other one set up for phone, and then we also had a digital station last year, so they were talking about PSK.
Any Dakota?
We
No.
did set up for GOTA. We don't normally have a lot of people stop by for that though, but it's a get on the air station so that you invite the public, essentially, you post it in public forums, whatever, and you invite the public.
All right, so our next, so this gets into the summer activities on the flyer that I passed out. If you didn't get one of these, come see me if you want one. It just goes through the activities we have this summer. The next one is Field Day. We're going to be using the same location this year that we did last year. It's at Marriott Park, so it's there by the IRS facility on 1200 West. So we'll be starting to set up June 23rd at 9 a.m. And then we start operating at noon, and then we go until noon the next day. What I forgot to put on the flyer is, for our club, this is pretty much as much a social event as it is an operating event. We do have a potluck dinner on the 23rd, on Saturday. So if you want to come, have dinner with the club, just talk and socialize, that'd be great. Bring your favorite side dish. But we also do operate, so if you want to get some HF operating in, the bands, I heard someone mention this week that it's amazing how much contests improves propagation. And it's just because more people are on. So the propagation on Field Day should be a whole lot better than it was at the Golden Spike event, because there will be many, many more people on. So if you want to do HF operating, you're probably going to make a lot more contacts at Field Day than you did at Golden Spike. We do have two transceivers, a Yaesu and an ICOM. Last year we did hook up one of them we hooked up the Yaesu up to a computer, so we were able to do some digital modes. So if you'd like to come try out digital modes, that's a good opportunity to do that too, assuming we find all the equipment. So
I can bring mine, we can hook up one just for digital modes.
okay, then we'll have to change our class, but and set up an extra antenna. But also, it's if you want to come help set up, show up at 9 a.m. It's a good opportunity to see how a portable station is set up. How to set up the G5RB and how to set up the loop and how everything's connected together. So it's a good opportunity for that too. And then if you want to stay overnight, work overnight, no one's going to fight you for the radios. So
Particularly at midnight.
yeah.
Don't sleep at night.
Yeah. I like to sleep at night. So past few years I've stayed overnight, but I just end up going to sleep. So if you want to stay overnight and work the overnight shift, that would be great. I would appreciate it. So do we have any questions about Field Day? A lot of you have been to many, many field days, probably more than I have. So anyway, thank you for your support there. The next event is the fox hunt. So we're going to do a little bit of a presentation on fox hunt techniques. If you don't know, a fox hunt is a hidden transmitter hunt. So we've got a little ammunition can that we've got a radio and an antenna on. It's all battery powered, so we hide it in bushes somewhere in a park in Weber County. And what's that? Well, it's got a nice big sign on the side that says this is a radio transmitter and not it doesn't say anything about a bomb, but basically if you find this, don't worry, it's nothing dangerous. But so we hide a transmitter out in the bushes somewhere in a park, and you start at your house or wherever you happen to be at 8 a.m. and try to find the transmitter. And so there's some techniques you can use to do that. And actually, what I wanted to do is kind of have an open discussion on that. There were some people who were interested in knowing a bit more about hidden transmitter hunting. So, can I borrow your radio? So, a lot of you have a handheld transceiver, whether it be a Yaesu like this one or a Baofeng or whatever you have. You're going to use different techniques for depending on how close you are to the transmitter. So if you're just starting out at home, you want to have your rubber ducky antenna attached. And then the easiest way is to just hold it up next to your body and kind of do a pirouette here and listen to the sound you're getting out of your radio. Wherever the sound is lowest means your body is attenuating the signal the most, which likely means the transmitter is directly behind you. So just turn circles until you hear the lowest signal. You hear the null, as they say, and then the transmitter is probably behind you. Now, keep in mind we live in a mountainous area, and you may hear a couple of nulls, or you may not hear nulls, because the signal may be reflecting off of mountains or buildings or anything like that. So that's where the challenge is to figure out, given all these complications, you still need to figure out where the transmitter is. So just keep that in mind. When you get closer into the transmitter, like when you find the park where we are, and just as a side note, the first time I did this, I did get to the park, and then I just sat down and had breakfast, and someone was like, "We didn't find the transmitter," and I said, "Sure I did. You were all right here." And they said, "No, you got to find the ammo can, not just the park." So anyway, when you get to the park where we're located, there's a good chance that the signal from the transmitter is going to overload your radio. And so that gives us, there's a couple of other techniques you can use for that. First off, you can just take the antenna off. So that will attenuate the signal quite a bit, because then all your antenna is whatever is in the guts of your connector. So you can do that. If you do need a little bit of a stronger signal, then this will provide, but you need less than this will provide. Bring a paper clip with you, and you can stick a paper clip in the little connector there, the little thing in the middle of your connector, and that'll give you a tiny little antenna that will attenuate the signal. The other thing you can do is to tune off frequency. So go a little bit high or go a little bit low, and that will reduce the signal as well. And then you can continue to do your, put it against your chest and do your pirouette thing to figure out where the nulls are. So, yeah.
So what's because I've never done this, is the frequency of VHF, UHF, are we supposed to guess that?
No, it's published. So we'll put it on the website, and I would have put it on the paper, except I didn't remember what it was. I think it's 145.41, something like 42. Okay.
What is it?
Like 145.42. I thought it was 41 because it was on a repeater output frequency, and down in 145 range, it's off numbered. Anyway, we'll put it on the website. It'll definitely be there. So you just tune your radio to that frequency, and then use your body's attenuation. Now, do we have any other comments about the simple method? Just using your handheld and your body. Any other comments? Yes.
It didn't work very well.
No, it's not the best way to do it, but it's the cheapest way to do it.
Actually, I got to kind of disagree with that. It's really a technique. Yeah, we get reflections. What I found that helps me is to vary your location and take a compass with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So mark a direction and even draw it on your phone over a Google map, and then move far enough away that you can get a second bearing. And somewhere in the area where that crosses, you're going to find a park on Google Maps. And if you want to zero it in a little bit farther, get a third location, and somewhere within the triangle that's represented on your map is probably going to be pretty close.
So Yeah, definitely. Don't just stay in one spot. I mean, that's a mistake I made when I first did this. You got to move around. So you may want to get a bearing in one spot, like Gil said, get a bearing in one spot and then go to a completely different place and get a bearing from there. So,
Yeah, 10 feet won't do it.
no, 2 miles.
A couple miles.
I'm going to tell you guys a story just for the heck of it. It's become a classic in our household. We've been on 2 fox hunts. The first one, we kept getting it was up in the mountains, just off of 12th Street, south of 12th Street, the mountains. And we went up there all over, we went around, and kept going back up there. It turned out to be way out yonder. We were getting the bouncing off the walls, off the mountains. The bottom line is, believe it, the next one we went to, we live up by the event center. We went down to the event center, and we did the thing. And we said, it's right up there. No, that's where the mountains are. We then went down to the airport, and we got again, and it's up over there. That's still the mountains. So we spent all over. Finally, they gave a couple hints, and they described the park that is 2 blocks from our house. 1 block from where we were teching it. It was right there. We just didn't believe it. I mean, we were within probably 500 yards of where it was, and we didn't believe it.
I remember one of the clues we had to give out was for the sittles to, we had to tell the sittles to come home.
Well, they described the park. They said, it's in the middle of a park where there's a river running. That's right.
Yeah.
And you can see a dome.
We still didn't believe it.
The event center has.
The mountains certainly make things interesting. Sometimes you get reflections, sometimes you don't, and sometimes we hide the transmitter right on the mountain. So, but keep in mind, it will always be between the mountains and the lake. We're not going up into Huntsville or Eden or anywhere like that. It's on the west side of the mountains, and it'll. What's that?
Hike up the mountain.
Yeah, and it's going to be. It'll be in a public park, so we're not hiding this in someone's backyard or something.
But you have a north and a south boundary too.
Yeah, in the county, the county line. Yep. Yep. So within that area is where we're going to hide the transmitter, and we still have yet to pick the park, so I don't even know where it's going to be yet.
So we can't torture you now.
No. No.
No, the wife wants it home.
But if you do it, if you do it, it's a lot of fun. As you heard, there's a couple of stories. I mean, I got stuck up in North Ogden looking at the mountains, trying to figure it out where it was up there one year, and it wasn't there at all. And the first year I did it, though, I almost came right to it. But I did just the method you're describing. I started at my place. I got a kind of a bearing. I drove all the way out into, not quite Hooper out there, and I checked out there, and I triangulated that basically. I looked on Google Maps, and there's a park over there. So I drove out that way, and it kept getting stronger, and I found it. It's actually pretty. I don't want to say it's easy, but it's
easy.
it's doable.
If you're
For most people.
If you're triangulating, having a map is really handy. I've got a map that was published by the Weber Trails people, I think, and it's a map of the hiking trails in the county. So it doesn't show the parks, but it's still a map of the county, and I think they were giving it away for free. And it may even be at the, if they're still publishing it, it may be at the sheriff's office. So you might be able to pick up one of those maps for free.
Like shops too.
Yeah, there you go. So if you got a map of the county, that'll help. Now,
You go down to the city building and you pick up the map there.
sure, yeah. So a little more advanced in the subject is alternative antennas, and you've got one back there on your handheld. You want to tell us about that one? I've seen those before. I don't know anything about them, but
Yeah, this little loop antenna, and it's kind of hard to use in a way because it really, the area that you're looking at is straight through the loop, and sometimes with these kind of
radios, it's kind of hard to get a null because you go past the null too quick. And so you have to kind of, really move it in increments. But it's this one, the particular one to work on UHF and VHF. And I found it works fairly good. I got this one through the Denver store.
Okay.
And someone makes them in, I think it's Idaho.
And if you do a search, I'm sure Google search for radio direction finding antenna, you'll probably end up finding something like that if you want to buy it. So
the other way is to use the tape measure antenna.
Yep, that's what we're going to talk about next. So I have a bunch of these printed out, about 16 of them. This is a tape measure based antenna that you can use for radio direction finding. Basically you cut the tape measure elements out and you hook them up to a PVC pipe boom, so it's really cheap to make. If you get the Harbor Freight things in the mail, there's a good chance you can get your tape measure for free if you go buy something else at Harbor Freight. Right, so you need some hose clamps to hook the elements to the PVC, but it's a good little antenna. I've got a couple of these. We had a build for these was it last year or the year before? I can't remember. Anyway, so along with that are the leftover parts from our build project. I have a bunch of these pre-cut tape measure elements. You'll need one of the long ones, one of the middle-sized ones, and then two of the short ones. And they're up here. If you want to come grab them, you can. I've also got a bunch of pre-cut PVC pipes and fittings, so you can put it all together. So come grab some if you want some. I'm not opposed to someone taking the whole box home with them, but if you want to do that, make sure other people have an opportunity to get some first. Steve?
Dumb question. When you use those, do you point them so the tape measures are out this way or this way? Up and
Well,
down?
you could do either way. If you're trying to attenuate the signal, so our hidden transmitter has vertical polarization. If you wanted the maximum signal, you would vertically polarize your antenna too, so that the tape measure elements would be up and down. But if you're trying to attenuate the signal, one way you can do that is to turn it horizontal. And that will reduce the signal, I think, by about 3 dB. In this case, attenuation is a helpful thing, and maybe a good way to do it. So, anyway, if you're interested in parts for this project, come grab them. What I don't have in the box is coax or connectors, so you'll need to provide those yourself. There's also just a note. Right between the two driven elements on the antenna is a little 5-inch piece of wire. It's called a hairpin match, and it's there to better match the antenna to the coax. So
It also allows you to transmit on it.
yeah. Up here in the, I've got a bunch of these, like I said, a bunch of these papers. You can come grab one if you want. Up here is the address to the guy who wrote the article and the guy who made this diagram. And you can read more about that hairpin match on his website. So, anyway, Gil, go ahead.
The tape measure antenna is a great tool, and it can roll up and be used as an emergency antenna as well.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the man's call sign. I believe it's Larry Jacobs. And I think his call sign is WA7ZBO. If you Google him, he has a great YouTube video on fox hunting techniques. And he does WA7ZBO. I believe that's his call sign, but it's Larry Jacobs. But he uses a tape measure Yagi. He also uses some more sophisticated antenna finding or transmitter finding techniques, but the techniques are all all the same. It's all about reducing the signal when you get close so that you can still pinpoint the direction from which it's coming.
Right. Yeah, and so, and thank you, I completely forgot we need to explain how it works. So the Yagi antenna is a directional antenna. That means it's going to receive more signal from one direction than it is from the other. And so when you put the middle section is called the driven elements. That's where the coax is hooked up. And so when you're putting power, like if you were to transmit into this antenna, and if you've got the match and everything you can, you're actually transmitting into this middle section here. And these are just there to either direct or reject the signal. So the longer one is a reflector. And so it's going to reject more of the signal from the back. So basically, if you were pointing this toward the transmitter, this would be the end you point towards the transmitter, and this end would be away from the transmitter. And so basically with this one, the idea is the same. You hold your antenna out, and you go around in a circle, and you look for nulls or you look for strong signals.
You said it does better for ours, it does better vertically?
Well, it depends on what you're trying to do.
Initial contact.
Right, if you're just trying to pick up the signal initially, our antenna is vertically polarized. So you would want to hold the elements so that the tape measure is up and down. But as you get closer in, the signal is going to be stronger, and you may want to reduce that signal a little bit, and then you turn it horizontal, and it's going to reduce it by about half. So it's just another technique that you can use. Steve, yeah, go ahead.
So you talk about the nulls. Do the nulls occur at like 90 degrees or 180 degrees, or what's the...
Well, the idea is that you're going to get the strongest signal from directly in front of the antenna. You're still going to get a little bit of a signal from the sides, and you're going to get a little bit of a stronger signal, not stronger than the front, but you're going to get a bit of... The signal you get from the back is going to be stronger than what you get from the sides.
In my language, if you've got it with the short end in front, the big end toward you, the strongest signals when you're pointing it straight to it.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. So yeah, I think a couple of years ago we had the transmitter in South Ogden, and the person who won that day had one of these antennas, and they just stuck it out the sunroof of their truck, and they were turning it around up there. So it was a couple of guys working together, and so anyway.
Also mentioned, Mark, you wanted to stand behind the longest antenna so that you're not affecting
Right. Yeah, and when we built these in the club meeting, I screwed up, and I didn't bring the cross fitting for the back. I brought T's instead. The reason there's a cross at the back is so you can hook more PVC pipe off to the end, and you can hold it there. Otherwise, you have to hold it in between these two elements, and it's going to mess up the radiation pattern a little bit. But, yeah.
Another thing I've found that is that when you use those antennas, you don't want to stand near your vehicle, because that really throws the pattern off. You want to move away at least, 20, 30 feet from the,
Sure.
from the vehicle that you're pointing.
Yep.
And it's not the same with this one, too. You need to get out in the open.
Right. Yeah, anything that's metal is going to affect the signal. So, if someone's got a metal building or metal vehicle, or I guess I don't know any vehicles that aren't metal, but if you're bringing your horse-drawn wagon, you may be okay.
One thing is, if you do a circle in it, the signal sounds the same, most powerful. At the same time, you're within a mile of it.
Yeah, and that's where you get into tuning off frequency a little bit to reduce the signal. And when you tune off frequency, 5 kilohertz or so, you're still going to hear it, but it's not going to be as loud. So, any other comments or questions about this?
Gil, what was that website phonetically?
Whiskey Alpha 7 Zulu Bravo Oscar, I believe.
It is, I just looked it up.
I have the call sign correct?
Yeah, the call sign's correct.
Yeah, Larry Jacobs, he does a great job on his YouTube videos. A couple of the pieces of equipment are homebrew. I tried building one, but my building techniques aren't as good as they should be. but he does use just a simple, if I remember the video right, he uses just a simple transceiver, like everybody's got, and a paperclip. And he hides it in his backyard, and he does a very simple demonstration. And the visual, the way he did it, I think he did a really, really great job on video. I enjoy watching it. His name's Larry Jacobs, very friendly gentleman, very open. I did invite him to come and do a meeting for the club, but I wasn't able to get his schedule to play with ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He's in Salt Lake City. He's a great guy.
And I think his son does a podcast, the Field Radio
I
podcast.
think you're right.
And his call sign is like K7DBO, Delta Bravo Oscar, or something like that. I can't remember. But, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, they're here in Utah. Any other comments or questions about, well, the fox hunt or the antennas or any of those? All right, once again, come take this stuff off my hands because I don't really want to take it home. I'm not charging for it, it's free. Yeah.
When you make a tape measure antenna, put tape or something around the ends.
Yeah.
Because it gets very sharp.
Yeah, you'll notice the black lines here on the flyer. Yes, sheet metal, well, the very thin sheet metal they use for those things is very sharp, so yeah, tape it up.
I chamfered the corners of those. It makes it a little easier.
Yeah, you could round off the corners as well. Anything else about that before we move on? All right, so okay, so the activity after the fox hunt, it's kind of funny, this meeting ends up being just one big announcement session. After the fox hunt, we've got the steak fry, August 18th, 5 p.m., also at Marriott Park. So this is our social event. We don't bring the transceivers for this one, unless it's something to donate. But it's just, come have dinner with us, bring your favorite side dish. Oh, sorry, one more thing about field day. I think the club, if I remember correctly, we do bring hot dogs for that. So you don't need to bring that. We also...
Hot dogs, hamburgers, and usually drinks.
Yeah, chips and drinks. Yeah, that's kind of the unwritten rule about field day and the steak fry. The club provides the chips and drinks, so you can bring something besides chips and drinks. So anyway, it's called the steak fry because we have steaks there. If you are a paid-up member of the club, your steak is free. We also have some extra steak for other people. Those are $5 each. We also will provide hot dogs and hamburgers for those who would like them. That is our membership renewal activity. So
how much is it normal?
It's $15, 15 a person, or is it 25 for a family?
Yes.
Yeah, 15 per person, 25 for a family. So our memberships run from August to August, and that's when you renew. Also, it is the election, our club elections, and I would just like to encourage you, if you're interested in being part of the club leadership, feel free to run for election. Usually what ends up happening is we have more of appointments than elections. The board says, here's someone we could nominate, and that's the only person who's available. But if you want to run for election, feel free.
Like a railroad.
What's that?
It's kind of like a railroad.
Yeah. So let Jerry know if you'd like to run for election. Also, we have a door prize or prize giveaway. We will be having a board meeting here soon to determine what that prize is going to be. If you have ideas of what you'd like as a door prize, let me know, or let a member of the board know. We just kind of try to guess what would be best for the prize, and if you have ideas, we're open to them. We haven't established a budget for it yet, or maybe we did, I can't remember. It's usually somewhere around $300. And so if you've got an idea, be sure to let us know.
Which that $300 may be one big thing,
Yep.
or it may be
Small.
$250 and $200.
Yep. Yep, so, you know, if you've got a big prize that's $300 that you have an idea for, let us know. Or if you've got some smaller prizes in mind, let us know about those as well. Also, there's an auction. Oh, sorry, Larry, go ahead. Okay, yep. We also do an auction. The thing to keep in mind is you're donating items to the club that the club is going to sell. So the proceeds go to the club. But if there's some stuff you just want to get rid of, as long as it's not utter garbage, feel free to donate it to the club. The proceeds go into the club bank account to you know, do activities and stuff like that. So, yeah, pay for the steaks. And in fact, the uncooked steaks are often one of the things in the auction. So it's actually kind of a good opportunity to buy stuff too. It depends on what people bring, but anyway, yeah.
If I remember right, you like other people there too, because you usually wind up buying it all.
I buy a lot of stuff. I didn't buy it all. There was a Drake 2B receiver that I had my eye on last year, and Larry got that. But
Kept bidding, you stopped.
what's it? Well, yeah, I'm not made of money, that's for sure. Anyway, so yeah, if you want to buy something or donate something to be sold, that would be great. Any questions about the steak fry? Yeah.
Maybe just a couple of comments. I'm pretty sure that the duties are spelled out for the different club offices on the website. Is that right, Val?
Yeah.
So if you're thinking you'd really like to be a part of the club leadership, go to the website and look over the descriptions of the duties. They're not that hard. And the other thing I want to say is it's your club. So why not, you know, help the club grow and progress by putting your input into it directly, by becoming a part of the leadership. Okay, we've had some new people along the years that has given the club some great new direction and some great new energy, and we need that from everybody.
Yep.
So I would really encourage that.
Go ahead, Larry.
Along with what Gil said, our board meetings are open, and I believe we're going to post the next one, so
Yep.
you're welcome to come, and particularly if you're interested in maybe looking at an officer's position, it's a good opportunity for you to kind of see what we do and how it works. So
Yep.
another way for you to take part, and even if you're not interested in doing an officer level job, it's a good way again to have a little input into what the club does and how it works. So
Yeah.
for that, we'll post it, and we'd like to have you come.
Yep, exactly. The only thing I would ask is if you want to come, let us know ahead of time, because we usually have the board meeting at a restaurant, and we have to tell them how many people are coming. So it'd be good to have a count ahead of time. Thank you for that, Larry.
Even if it's a spur of the moment thing, you're more than welcome to show up. We'll make it.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't have to be an exact count, but if you can, let us know, do. Anything else about the steak fry? Or the elections, or membership renewal, or anything like that? Okay. Last thing, and this is kind of where our club gets a free ride. The Tri-County Swap Meet, or at least that's the way the Utah Amateur Radio Club puts it. The swap meet is in September on the third Saturday, the 15th. And I'm not exactly sure about the time. I put 9 a.m. I think that's when it starts. If you're selling something, I think you can show up at 8. Or if you really just want to be eager and get in there as early as you can, get the best stuff, then show up at 8. But it's at the Bountiful City Park on 400 North. I think that's the park where the bubble used to be. There's still a swimming pool there, it's just not a bubble anymore. But anyway, our club, the Davis Club, and the Utah Amateur Radio Club are all involved in that. So if you want to sell something, it's a good opportunity to sell. I don't think, do they charge a fee for a table? No, you just show up? Yep. So good opportunity to sell some equipment if you're interested in that, or if you want to find a good deal on some equipment, it's a good opportunity for that as well.
And the Davis Club brings a library for sale.
Yes. Yeah, the Davis Club, they've got a lot of books for sale and a lot of smaller stuff like connectors and cable and stuff like that, so they bring that stuff. And it's not just ham radio stuff either. I've seen crafts and like hats and embroidery and stuff like that there. I bought a lawnmower there once. It doesn't work.
Radio
No, it never has worked, but it was an electric lawnmower, and I bought it for the motor. Anyway, so yeah, that's a good swap meet to come to. So we kind of have, in this area, we've got two of them, one in February and one in September. And so, any questions about that? All right. Well, just to, see, I think I got everything. Just to kind of end, thank you for coming today. I know we had a conflict with the Aries group, but thanks for coming, and we hope you come out to the summer activities. Just to keep in mind, all of these activities replace the club meeting in the months that they are. So our next club meeting is not going to be till October.
If you have grandkids or kids or neighbors or people you work with, whatever, that might be interested in learning more about amateur radio or just being involved in a club activity like that. I mean, my mom came to steak fry one year. Maybe it was field. I think it was steak fry that one year. If you know people that might be interested in coming along, or you think you'd like to bring some people along, go ahead and invite them and bring them out, because it is a lot of fun, and we do have food. There's usually food at every event, so it's great. Like I was thinking about the fox hunt. We've had several people bring their grandkids or their kids to those, and you get to show them how to do the direction finding and all that kind of stuff, and it makes it more interesting for them. The steak fry is a lot of fun because we do it's a big social event. Everybody gets together and we talk about all kinds of stuff, and it's a lot of fun. So, just don't be afraid about bringing people. It's okay. It's fun. There's always enough food. Most of the time we're trying to figure out what to do with the leftover food that we got to get rid of somehow before people take it home. So don't worry about that kind of stuff. Just come out and have a great time. It's always a lot of fun. You never leave hungry. So.
Two things about the fox hunt that I forgot to mention. It does say it on here. We will provide breakfast at the fox hunt. So, yep, yep, food. Also, if you want to, anyone can participate in the fox hunt. You don't have to have a license, because all you're doing is receiving. Unless you need to call in for a hint or call in to give up. It happens.
Give up. Where's the breakfast?
Yeah, well, people do that. Unless you need to call in, all you're doing is receiving, so anyone can participate. And it's just a generic gift card that we're getting as a prize, so, if up and says, I found the transmitter, we'll give the gift card to them, so, is that what you were going to mention? Okay, yep. So, yeah, it's a good opportunity to get people involved in ham radio, even if they don't have a license. Was there anything else that needed to come up before we head out? Oh, sorry, I was going to mention, I brought my laptop. Do you have yours? Okay, so if you need a radio programmed, we might be able to program it. There have been some that haven't worked, but if you need a radio programmed, we can do that. Anything else that needs to come up before we go? Yeah, Gil.
You talked about the VE test, and I appreciate that. Anybody can come out and assist and become a VE. And if you're considering maybe giving back more to the amateur radio community and you want to become a volunteer examiner, please get with Rick and he will be glad to help you with the application.
Yep.
Personally, I think we've got a really, really great VE team, but we still need people. We need assistance, so it's a great way to give back to the amateur radio community, and we have a good time, and Rick does a really great job. Thank you, Rick.
But it's not Rick, it's the team. Thank you, team.
Yeah, if you want to sign up as a VE, you have to be a general or extra class licensee. If you want to just show up and help out, you can do that too. I know Beth Harrington showed up a few times. I don't think she's registered as a VE, but she just helped out with the money and filling out the paperwork and stuff like that. In fact, she sat down and helped. We had someone who couldn't read, and she sat there and read the questions and answers to him. She didn't need to be a VE for that. She was just a volunteer. And so if you want to come help out, that would be great.
She's a great asset in that respect.
There is one more thing. I've been trying to work with Philip Langus up at Hill Air Force Base for the past couple of months, trying to get a time where we could go out, and he wants to do another technician class out there. They're really concerned up there because when anything happens, their communication system doesn't hold up. So they want to be able to have radio communications up at Hill Air Force Base, so they want to get as many people licensed as they can, that kind of thing. And last time we had, I don't remember how many.
31.
There was quite a few, and we'll have at least that many in the next one. But he finally did get back with me, and we tried this. We've got another preliminary schedule. We'll see how it works out as we get closer. But it'll be June 19th and 21st, the 26th and the 28th for the class, and so that's Tuesday, Thursday nights, the last couple of weeks of June. And then he wants to do an all-day cram session again on the 30th, and followed by a test session. So there will be an opportunity for doing a test session that way. We need more volunteers for that. Last time we didn't have enough. And if you'd like to teach, and here's the best part about teaching these classes, you don't have to be any particular anything. You don't even have to be licensed. You can come in and help. We've got the slides. I can get you access to the slides. All you have to do is be able to talk to the information points and give them the information, because that's all it is. It's getting them information. They're responsible for learning it, not you. You can't make them learn it. So, and then we'll get that done and get some more people that are licensed as well. And I'll be talking with people at the Davis Club as well about that to get help. But if you'd like to get involved that way, and like to teach a class or part of a class or a subject or something, just get hold of me. My email address is my call sign, KD7GR@ARRL.net. And we'll be glad to get you involved with that as well. And get hold of Rick if you want to get involved in the test sessions, because they come up several times a year, and it's a lot of fun to go in there and help other people get through the testing and get licensed.
You want that class posted on the website? It says in the...
Yeah, I'll send you the information, and we'll see about getting that up there. I'm almost hesitant to do that, because last time I got all excited, we got right up to the week of, and he said, we can't do it this week, so.
And you reminded me, just to throw a couple promotions out there. One is for the Yahoo group. The club has a Yahoo group, so if you want to announce things like this, I know Dave did that. He put it out on the Yahoo group. It's free to join. I don't know of anybody who hasn't been approved. It requires approval, but I think we approved nearly everyone. Unless it's, a spammer in China or Russia or something. But, so there's the Yahoo group. Also the Ham and Eggs Net at 7 p.m. every Tuesday night on the 448.600 repeater. There's that means of communication with the club as well. So if you have an event, you're going out to do a soda activation or something like that, and you want someone to go along with you, you could post it one of those two places and see if you could get some people to help. Yeah.
Back to the Ham and Egg Net, we could sure use some more volunteer net control. Seems like there's only 2 of us, so.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been meaning to do that again.
And these are things that you don't need to have any special training in. Really, you don't. If you want to come meet with one of these guys and watch how they do the operation of the net, just call them up beforehand and go over and watch how it works.
Sure.
Everything is available to everybody in amateur radio. You don't have to, hit any special marks or, you know what I mean? It's all open and everybody's willing to help in. That's what that whole Ham and Eggs thing is about, is mentoring and elmering everybody and stuff anyway. So if you'd really like to learn how to do a net, let's say your ward is looking to do the same thing, or your stake, and you're involved in that, but you don't know how to run the net, well, get involved with these guys. They can help you learn how to run the net.
Yep.
It's
And Just a second. I was just going to mention, the ham and eggs net is a pretty safe place to be net control, because if you mess up, no one's going to care. You know, I know the Aries group, their net is at 8 o'clock on the same frequency, and I know they've been trying to get more people to be net control, because it's an important thing to learn how to do, to run a net. So, you know, volunteer to be net control, and if you mess up, so what? It's a learning experience. Nobody cares. So, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
The club will be putting on a training session for the new technical license in January. January, all the Wednesdays in January next year.
Yes. So the announcement is that our next technician class is going to be in January. You know, that's all very preliminary at the moment, but yeah.
September, October is the time to schedule out, because we're starting to schedule for the next year.
Right.
If we get in early, we'll get it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something we need to do better at, but that's the board's problem and not yours. So, anyway, anything else that needs to come up? Stan?
Is there anybody here who is not a member of the ARRL? There's 1, 2, 3. Here, let's split these up.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Last year's
Ulterior
QSD
motive.
magazine.
All right, so Stan's giving away free magazines.
Free magazines. If you're not a member,
For amateur radio operators, it's the equivalent of porn, so.
Oh,
All right.
magazines.
We can edit that out. 'Cause I get the Little Great magazine too.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call it then. I think that's good for today. Thank you for coming out. Thanks for supporting the club. We'll see you later. Thanks for coming.
Hey, you're welcome. I'm still thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.